In this episode, you'll discover what to expect from rowing as you age.
Feel the grip of the oar handle, smooth yet firm in your hands. Taste the salt of your own sweat and the occasional splash of water. It's all part of the journey. Welcome to another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Each week, our host, Masters rowing coach Rebecca Caro, dives deep into the world of Masters rowing. Whether you're on the water or in the gym, join us to become a faster master. Let's go rowing.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. I'm Rebecca Caro, and today we're going to be talking about what is difficult about being your age in rowing. I want to start with a quote from a man called Grant Faulkner from Ulster magazine. And he said, the difficulty for him is the math of every day, every year, the tick, tick, ticking. It can be motivating, as in, I've got a big, heavy, immovable deadline, so I better get cracking. It can also even be strangely comforting, as in, maybe death does hold some necessary peace, but most of the time it's depressing. The speed that the clock moves forward and the things it takes away. Now, for us masters, aging is something that we learn to enjoy in certain ways, and we also learn to adjust to. You've probably heard me say it before. Masters rowing is rowing with adaptations, and recognizing when you need to make the next adaptation is part of our aging process within the sport of Masters rowing. Let's go through some of the things that you should expect. You know that things are going to change as you age, but my biggest complaint is that nobody told me it was going to be like this. So here's your chance to look ahead to what might be coming up for you. The main things that you will probably notice first is your strength and your mobility. Strength diminishes not in a linear pattern, and it diminishes differently from men from women. Women tend to start to lose their strength in their late 40s, early 50s. You just begin to notice that you can't pull the numbers you used to. You feel like you're still, doing your maximum effort, but your maximum effort is definitely not the same. With men, it's a little later. It tends to be closer into their 60s. There is a sort of plateau for both sexes that happens in your 60s, where you've got through things like menopause, if you're female, some of the strength changes that I'm talking about, and you can hold steady for quite a long time. Older than that, and generally other health issues may impact you. And I'm not really qualified to talk about them, but there are definitely people online in the Facebook group called Masters Rowing International, where if you have a question, they dive right in to help you. So if you're an arthritis sufferer, if you have need of a hip replacement, all these sorts of things, there are people who will tell you about their own rehab, about the adaptations that they make. Mobility is something else. Can you keep your range of movement in your joints? And for us rowers, the most important thing is usually in our pelvic area. Can we still lean forward and touch our toes? Can you get rocked forward into the catch position? Do you have enough mobility in your hips to swing your back in the power phase of the rowing stroke? Now, mobility is part of flexibility. They are somewhat different, but these are things that you can definitely work on. Go to our programs page, and under the free stuff section, you will find a whole webinar on how to test your functional movement, as in the range of movement that different parts of your body can move through. And then there are also in the webinar, Marlene Royal explains strengthening and flexibility exercises that you can do to improve your functional movement in the areas where you know you're somewhat limited. as a coach, it's really clear to me that if people can't get into the right positions for rowing, it's really difficult to teach them. If they can't get their shoulders forward of their hips with the legs straight, you can't really get into a good catch position, which generally means the length of your stroke will be substantially shorter and compromised, for example. There are adjustments that you can do to take account of this and to make it easier for you to get close to getting into the right positions. And there's a blog post which we wrote, which you can find on our blog, called Adapting Rowing Rigging for Masters Physiology. I've put the URL on the screen and it will be in the show notes later. So trying to maintain your technique and your range of motion is something that we should all expect. For myself, I don't find the hip pelvic mobility particularly challenging, but I do find it increasingly difficult to get out of my boat when I have to stand up using my left leg compared with my right leg. I think I know the cause for this, but it means that I have to haul myself up on the rigger, or I have to shuffle my bum sideways onto the dock. And that is, for me, feels like a little bit of a letdown, a bit of an embarrassment, like I'm not doing it the way I should. But it's part of the acceptance of aging, as that quote from Faulkner said. The clock moves forward. There are things that it takes away. Having said all of that, we can adjust our rigging in order to try and accommodate our own physical limitations. You'll find lots of the details in that article. Some of the adjustments are really easy to make. You can do them right away while you're sitting in the boat. Some of them are super cheap, things like getting a seat pad and being able to raise and lower the height of the oarlocks. Others take a little bit more doing and need tools, and you need to do them on the land because they are fundamentally about rigging the boat, adjusting where you're sitting in order to accommodate yourself. But if you know what you need, then you can make it easy for yourself and make these changes quite quickly. Having said all of that, the plus side of aging is that we can still always maintain and improve our technique. When you are losing strength, you can still make your boat go faster by being more skillful at the catch, getting the blade in without much slip, making sure that you get a full leg drive so that your placement is at full compression, making sure you're recruiting extra muscles in order to add to the power that you're delivering. And so masters do spend a lot more time on their technique, perhaps, than younger rowers do, because we know this is one of the things that has got no regard for age. You can improve your technique regardless of how old you are. And so that's how I'm going to summarize, for me, what's difficult about being my age. Take a think for yourself and look at what is the next horizon that you suspect may be happening for you. Because in general, most of us delay making those changes. If you know you're losing strength, you should be shortening your oars, as Volker Nolte said in our rigging webinar. Most masters are rowing on oars that are too long and the gearing is too hard for their strength and capability. So start today, take a good hard look at your own rowing technique and start to learn about the adaptations that you can make to improve your rowing as a masters athlete. Till next time.
We are part of the RowingChat podcast network. Please tell your fellow rowers about the show. If you've learned just one helpful thing from today's episode, please consider supporting the show for as little as $1 per month by visiting fastermastersrowing.com/podcast.